Yeah, one moment that I recall is I will not tell the name of my teacher, but he was my physics teacher, and he was, describing something on the board, and he just, his tongue slipped, and he just said a phenomena. He had to say.
Hello, everyone. It took us 6 years and a pandemic to finally materialize the idea of collaborating with young influential leaders and discuss with them topics which are ought to be discussed, but unfortunately are not. We founded this organization back in 2014. We were some college friends, and since then, more than 400 interns have been trying to uplift the underprivileged section of the society. At a time when the television media is showing the least important things, at a time when young India is busy in trending Binod online, this is our small initiative to bring out stories how some set of young Indians are actually changing the dynamics of rural India. Kindly support us in our journey. Do share this video if you like, to subscribe to our channel and motivate us to bring more such stories. Just a disclaimer, I'm not a professional host, I'm not great with language, but one thing I can guarantee, our intent is proper and clear. So, without much delay, let's start the first episode of one of its kind of a podcast, Let's Unwind, where we talk about relevant social issues with young creators of today. Let's start. Today is 5th of September, the birth date of Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan. In India, we celebrate his birthday as Teachers' Day. I guess every student in India have some memories or some incident regarding Teachers' Day. But do we actually know who is he or why we celebrate this day? We had a survey and there were many people who did not know this. So I'll start this podcast with a brief introduction about him. Doctor was a scholar, an academician, and a philosopher. He has worked in Madras University, Calcutta University, University of Manchester, Oxford University, and University of Chicago. In fact, he was the first Indian professor in the Oxford University. He was also the second president and the first vice president of India. He had this thought that the best minds of a country should become a teacher. And that's why with his fond of teachers and his method of how we should teach, his birthday is celebrated as the Teachers' Day in India. So, on that note, let's start our podcast. Startup. When we say this word, what comes to your mind? Ola, Uber, Zomato, Swiggy. Startups are mostly commercialized. But let me tell you, there are multiple startups which are also working on the social field. And we are lucky and immensely proud to have two of the eminent startups of India in our show today who works in the field of education and is synonymous towards our title of today's episode, Leaders for Education. So let me welcome Think Zone, a startup from Bhubaneswar, who are working with the concept of touch and tech and bringing low cost educative materials to rural Orissa. And iSaksham, who are working on bringing quality education with the help of creating edu leaders. So I welcome both the organizations on our podcast. I'd like to say, if you could just tell about a line of your organization and about yourself, then it will be really helpful. We can start with Think Zone.
If I start, ThinkZone is an organization, the social enterprise, which works on improving learning outcomes of kids from under-resourced community in Odisha using the, as you said, tech and touch model,
Mhm.
and by empowering uh, government school teachers, uh, community teachers, childcare workers, and young people who wants to change. And this is our overview of what we do. And
Okay,
I'm Shridip Mahapatra, program manager for ThinkZone. I'm here for the past 2.5 years, and it's been an amazing journey working with ThinkZone.
thank you. Uh, Snehanshu?
So hi, I'm Snehanshu, and I have been also working with ThinkZone since the last 2 years. And same as like what Shrideep sir said, like it's been an amazing journey.
Great, great. Good to see young people in this field, which is properly neglected or not so fancy in today's world. Would love to hear something from Divya.
So hi, I am Divya, as you all know. I am also working in iSaksham from the past 2 years only. And what iSaksham does is it basically creates edu leaders from community only in extreme affected regions of Bihar to provide quality primary education to children. And how it does so is it runs a fellowship program of 2 years in which these community educators are trained as edu leaders, and whatever they learn in their training, they replicate that thing in the community learning centers or government schools of their own villages where they volunteer, as well as they empower and engage community to make them and help them support in the learning journey of the children. So this is the whole model of iSaksham, where we try to provide quality primary education to children via building community youth or community educators. Yeah.
Great. So you mainly function in Bihar, right?
Yeah, right now in Bihar, yeah, 4 districts of Bihar.
Okay, great. So thank you for coming to our show, and this is the very first show we are doing. So we are glad you are here. So we'll start with one quick question. The question is to Divya. So what comes to your mind when we say the term teacher?
I think someone who helps you grow, not just in your academics, but helps you grow as a person. And when you just talk, like, what comes to your mind when you hear the word teacher, I can immediately recall one of my class teacher who shaped me as a human being and who taught me to be more human. So I think teacher is somebody, yes, who not just helps you grow as an in academics, but helps you grow as an individual.
Definitely. Uh, Snehanshu, if I just say that, so when did you pass out from school?
That would be 2012, I guess.
Okay, okay. So do you think there's any change in celebration of Teachers' Day from your days to 2020?
Yeah, I think there has been a lot of change. I mean, so the first year at my Think Zone, I had been working with the teachers directly, and we were visiting centers and everything. So I think like just because I'm working in the education sector now, till like 2012 to 2012 or 2014 when I was in school, like we used to celebrate Teachers' Day by like giving all the respect to the teachers. And then there was this sudden transition like since the last 2 years when we kind of like are on the other end, and like there are children who do a lot of things for us and like celebrate it in such a pompous manner, and it's kind of like like getting back the respect that you show it.
I have one more question back to Divya. Can you recall one moment back from your school days where you were thrown out of the class or you were punished or something like that, and today you regretted, oh, like I might not have done that, but it was fun back then?
Yeah, there are so many. But I think, yeah, one moment that I recall is I will not tell the name of my teacher, but he was my physics teacher, and he was, describing something on the board, and he just, his tongue slipped, and he just said, phenomena. He had to say phenomena, but he said phenomena. And suddenly, few of my friends started laughing, and I also started laughing. And when he turned back, he just see me and one of my best friend laughing, and then he just nothing. He just didn't say anything, and he was so disappointed because I was such a good student, and I was laughing on that particular thing. So yeah, he just said, "Okay, Divya and one of my other friend, that you just guys stand up and please go outside of the class." He didn't say anything. He was so upset. And I think now when I recall it, I still find it very funny, but I should not have laughed over his seriously. I should not have done that.
So these things happen with you now, like you say something and maybe the children, they also start laughing sometimes.
I am not in very, direct contact with children. I do not
Yeah.
teach, but I love, kids, and I love, having jokes with them,
Okay.
playing with them. So I do a lot of fun stuff with them, actually, whenever I
Okay.
get the opportunity. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll come to that later on this episode. So like when we also work, we also have so many incidents with those children, and we see the innocence, and we feel bad that, oh, we have grown up, we could have been better as kids. So that feeling
Yeah.
is always there.
Yeah. The moment you said, Teachers Day, it brings back so much memories from school. Then this will be a never ending kind of a session. So I would like to stop here only.
Exactly. Even I
Yeah.
have so many memories. I can just close my eyes and just go back to those days.
True.
So in our next part, we will talk about two two serious topics. And because we are leaders, we are working in this sector, I guess we should discuss these topics. Topic is Indian education system is outdated. Is it a myth? We can start with Think Zone.
Calling it totally outdated would be wrong. See,
Mhm.
it's a what is happening right now with the national education policy and all the stuff. It's a work in progress, but I would say certain part of certain perception and certain thing is obviously outdated, which needs to be worked upon. For example, our assessment system, examination system, which we have, which relies on rote learning, which mostly relies on rote learning, is outdated. So even if there's a change in pedagogy or the teachers are trained in 21st century skills, but at the end of the day, they have to complete a curriculum and prepare kids for the assessment, which is mostly about rote learning and theorems and do prove things which are there low. So, for example, so that's where I think there's a problem. So some part of it, or the perception that we need to remember this stuff, we need to by heart this stuff, we have to um, if there's an exam we have to get it done this. So some perception or some things are obviously outdated, but not totally. It's a work in progress, which I believe it will change gradually.
Yep. If we keep ourselves in the place of a student, we never enjoyed theorems, right? I'm not sure
Exactly.
about you.
Yeah.
So no one used to
Yeah.
enjoy theorems. We just mug up and
So
we'll write it.
so that's why I gave example of theorems. So it was so
Yeah.
unnecessary to derive a theorem and prove a theorem with an example, which
Yeah.
like it made no sense.
We had 6 marks.
Even today, my nephew is in a very reputed international school.
Uh-huh.
There also they have to mug up by heart the multiplication table. They don't understand what is a multiplication table. Just 2 into 2, 4, 18 into 2, 36. They have to mug it up. And parents are so proud that my kid
Yeah.
knows 25 tables. So we call it Hindi में पहाड़ा बोलते हैं. So they are
Uh-huh.
so proud of it, but they don't know what is a multiplication,
Yeah.
continuous addition, why we do, what is happening behind it. So that part, when parents' perception is outdated.
Yeah.
So
So
that's
somewhere parents also needs to change. You mean also to say. So, but
exactly. Yes.
Snehanshu, if
Yeah.
I on those lines, the top CEOs of or the top most position holders in Silicon Valley, is
Yeah.
from India. Take any big company, any multinational company, it's an Indian CEO. Then they are coming from this education system itself. Then
Yeah.
why are we complaining that it's outdated?
I think that is like, one of the issues is like, there's nothing black and white. It's not like, there is a completely outdated system and there isn't. Like, I think the whole system comprises of various things. For example, there is curriculum, there is teachers, there are parents involved, there is a school management committee involved, pedagogy involved, and so many things that, define the system, which also includes assessments, as Shreedeep sir was saying. So I think, like, in general, like, like, it's not that the whole system is outdated. It's just that there are few components that are outdated, and it's nothing like, something that people can't get over with. Like, I think, like, even if like we are here right now sitting about and, like, trying to change the system, I think we might have seen something that can be changed, or like, something that can be overcome. And like, I think that is where the loophole is. Like, like, at one point, if you become a learner, like, you start to learn things on your own, then you can see, like, where the system goes wrong, and you can kind of overcome it, and, like, be better than uh, like other people, or like, just be better a version of yourself.
Exactly. So on those lines, Divya, uh, let's compare it with this today's scenario. Everyone is at home. Everyone is studying online. And even few years, not what years, few months back, we couldn't even imagine that we can study over phone. So do you think if just student schools give out handouts or books and let the students study from their own, or on their own, if they do homeworks, anything, that there's no binding, no wall, no classroom, nothing, do you think that will help in the future, or is this the new normal we are heading towards, Divya?
See, what I think about is education is not just about, excelling in academics, and, tech can definitely play a major role, but I think education is beyond that. And when you actually talk about the holistic development of a child, then, not always, I personally don't think that, always technology and, stuff like that can, work on that part. And when you ask me this question, I recall one of my extempore in the school when I was given a topic to speak about, computers versus teachers. And I suddenly recall that and I today also, I think I stand by on the same opinion which I said 9 years back, that computers and tech, they can be definitely be leveraged, and they can, people are calling it new normal these days. But I think education is beyond that. And when I personally feel, when you talk about, a holistic growth or holistic development and imbibing those moral values in people, then I think that human connect, that, love, that, I don't know, that relationship also matters a lot. And I personally feel that that is something that you, uh, you cannot do completely with technology. So yeah, that is my take on that.
So what I also feel is like, so you can read books sitting at home, you can do assessment sitting at home, you can do those things, but when you go to school, you mingle with friends, you learn sharing. When you go to school, you play sports, teamwork. When you go to school, you do extempo, you become a class monitor, you learn leadership. How will those things come up? It might be that in coming days, people will come up with these technologies where someone will be the class monitor on a Zoom call, or we'll have some football tournament online. I don't know how it will be, but it's very much possible. But yeah, it is a very debatable topic. So with down those lines again, so about right to education, right? So we made education a right long back. But do you think sitting on in 2020, is it still a right? Is everyone getting proper education in that every village of India? Snehanshu?
Definitely not. Like, there is a huge divide between, like, what kind of education that people are getting, and is education even accessible or not in a lot of places. Like, even in places that we are working right now in, like, Cuttack, Kendrapada, the rural areas of all of these places, there is a lot of places where the schools, like, they start up, but like they don't have teachers, or like they are just there, and like, no student comes up. I think definitely there is a problem, and I don't think like every child has been accessing that right, so definitely not. The fact is that like right to education has not reached to every child, but on the other hand, like it is an important right. And I think like a lot of policies, a lot of a lot of things that have happened by the government has happened because they have given the right to children to get educated, and they have to provide certain things like that. So I think like it's just like the implementation has not been done, but definitely like it has not reached to every child.
Okay, so I was in one of the internships and in a winter practicum in Ahmedabad, and we had this line. I just remember it like very faintly, that if an act is not implemented, it was not written properly. It is
Yeah.
just that that act was not written just to be on books. It has to be framed to be implemented properly. So on
Mhm.
those lines, we had this law article 12(1)(c) in Right to Education, in which we work. We try to admit kids to school through private schools. So like private schools have in the first, it might be the first standard or the nursery, whichever is the first class of that school, they have 25% reservation for underprivileged children. And I feel there's so much debate about reservation, right? Like in IITs, in government jobs, people cry that, oh, why are we not getting reservation? And so much vote bank is there. But we should not give reservation if we don't give reservation in higher school level and high secondary level or beyond school or college, and we give reservation in the below, in the base of the pyramid, then they will grow together, and so they won't even understand the difference. So a child from a slum will also learn whatever a child from a high class society learns. So in that case, the difference will come down and no one will mind, because no one is reserving some job or something. Do you really think, Divya, that right to education section 12(1)(c) reserving in private schools, this is helpful for some, for the underprivileged? Or should we strengthen the government schools and make them standard to the at par to the private ones? Only then we can have equality in education and not make luxury for some. What do you think, Divya?
I think definitely there is a need to strengthen government schools, because especially when we work in Bihar, every day we see those challenges that are there in the government schools. Somewhere there are, lack of infrastructure, children from 1 to 5 grades sitting in only one classroom, lack of teachers in the classroom. If teachers are there, they are not well trained to handle those multi-grade and multi-level classrooms. So there are a lot of challenges there as well. But I think I I'm not taking it as in reservations, but what you also said about strengthening the government system. I think that whole approach of towards teaching, I think that is where the work is need to be done. And training more and more teachers to handle classrooms, and that reservation, yes, definitely is on one part. But when we even talk about government schools, then those teachers, if even if there are 30 or 40 children in one classroom, even if there are infrastructural constraints and children from 1 to 5 grade are sitting in a single classroom, then the teachers there should be trained to handle such classrooms where they can address the learning needs of children from first grade and fifth grade as well. You all must be aware about the ASAR data as well of 2018, that 30.8% children of fifth grade in Bihar, in Jamui district, they cannot read even class 2 grade books. So I think that is where the work needs to be done. I feel teachers should be trained in a way that they can address the learning need of children in the classrooms, I think, and both in
Exactly,
government and private schools. Yeah. And
exactly.
not
So
seeing
with,
it as in, sorry, but not seeing
yeah, yeah.
as a competition, but seeing it as that whether it is a government school, whether it is a private school, the learning needs of children should be definitely be addressed. Yeah.
Correct. So, as you know about the ASA data, that people don't even know basic reading basic English in high secondary schools. So I'll not go even that. We don't even have proper washroom, proper sanitation, proper blackboard, table, chair in rural sections of West Bengal, Orissa. So if people don't have proper sanitation, do you think they will concentrate on studies? Like it creates a huge impact. So, and we have been talking that the state government will invest 6% of its GDP on education. And I guess that's coming for ages and it's not completed yet. And with the new education policy, and they are also now again the buzz is there. They will like invest 6% of its GDP. So, what do you really think, Snehanju or Srideep? Like with the new education policy, are things going to change?
I think like at one point like there has to be a plan. I'm not really like we have been working on education since the last 70 years of our independence, and we have seen so many things that have been upgraded, but like yet like the whole system is like still in so much like despair. But I think like there's still like a hope that if the government is making a plan, then like something can be better. And I think a lot of people might have not like missed out or something like that, but I just want to point out, if you read the national curriculum framework or national education policy that that the government has written, I think they are very critical of like all the things that are happening in schools, and in, like they understand what the problem is. Like if the whole policy would have been made without recognizing the challenges and like just saying about what the plan would be, then that would have been the problem. But the national education policy also specifies what are the challenges ahead. So a plan that is made on what are the challenges and how do we like conquer it. I think I have hope for the plan. Like I don't know like like if
No,
believe
I
the
guess
same level, but I
everyone,
have hope.
it's synonym. Like together, the country together is hopeful about this plan,
Yeah.
and we just hope that this is implemented correctly. We can
Yeah,
only
if it
hope,
is
and yeah,
implemented, yeah, if it is implemented correctly and in the way in the way that policies are normally implemented in the country, like it's still a very hard belief to have, but we
yeah,
still like
we can be
do,
optimistic. We can only
yeah,
be
we can
optimistic.
have hope.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So, yep, thank you. Yeah, we really had some good views on these two topics. So now we can go to some organization specific details we can discuss about those. So you have been working for ThinkZone for the last 2 years, Snehanshu?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So what challenges did you face? You are young. So what did you study? Like what is your qualification? Which is major?
Engineering, like
Engineering, great.
youth.
So,
Yeah,
so the saying is there, right? So in India, Indians first become engineers and then think about their profession.
yeah, definitely.
So yeah,
That's
that's
so
great.
true. Yeah.
So yeah,
It's
so
a hurdle that we have to kind of conquer, and then we
yeah,
can
yeah,
think
yeah.
about
So
like what
parents
do we
tell
do.
you have to do engineering and then do. So Divya and Srideep, you both are also from
My master's in English,
Okay,
and
great.
I'm an engineer and I was part of a corporate system for the 4 or 5 years, 6 years. Then I was done with the corporate stuff, and so I jumped to social sector.
Engineers everywhere. So as an engineer, I guess we know what we call in Indian terms jugaad, right? So we can
Exactly.
overcome every hurdle. So it is was there any hurdle that was difficult to pass, Snehanshu, while working for ThinkZone?
Yeah, there are so many hurdles. Like if I start talking about it, I think we would only talk about hurdles. But I think yeah, like as you said, Jugaad. I think our founder Binayak Acharya, he has a very great ideology behind it, and we always find local solutions. I think for every problem that we ever had in in the organization, we've always found local solutions within like the community, within the people that we were working with. So like a lot of times what happened, I think the major problem that is there in education and like which creates a hurdle every time is the perception of people of what education means for them. I think like that is the biggest hurdle to cross, like what does education mean for them, and how do we just we were like in all of our programs that we are doing with schools, Anganwadis and community educators, we have a pedagogy called as activity based teaching methodology. So all of the things that, like all of the topics that are taught by teachers, they are taught in activities, through activities. And that was seen by parents as something so outrageous. Like they were like, ye khel khel ke padhai nahi hogi. But
Yeah,
yeah, I think like just like when you start showing results and when you show them like
yeah,
what happens and what is the benefit of this, then they kind of realize ki, okay, we can get over this and like
yeah.
get
Great.
behind this.
So Divya, a question on the same topic is like, what do you think? Like, it is more difficult to work if you have a broader horizon. You are have a very niche skill or niche focus on one of the topics. So we work on right to education, and that's our focus. So, do you think which will be a better strategy for any organization?
I think this is something which is totally dependent on one's, belief and also the kind of ecosystem you want to work in. That
So
is
how are you
also
doing it? So this pandemic has like changed a lot of things, right? So how are you now framing your strategy in this COVID scenario?
initially it did, and we were also very skeptical about how things will move forward now, because everything was shut, schools were closed. Our edu leaders who used to volunteer in government schools, they didn't have any chance to meet kids. And I think one thing I would definitely like to mention is what we saw in this whole pandemic is the strength of community, and that has beautifully emerged out. We have seen
Yep.
parents taking so much ownership, parents participating in the calls, and following up their children on certain homeworks that are being given, and what all is being taught over phone calls. I think that was beautiful, and that is how in the pandemic only we started with our parent engagement program.
So it is so good to hear that from rural Bihar, people are just coming up and such inspirational stories. Thank you, and I'm really proud that young leaders are working in this field towards. And even we also worked on this during COVID scenario with Door India. We were also teaching them online. But my question next to Shrideep is that, do you really think that people lost their living right during COVID? Can they really concentrate on their child's education?
I disagree with some part. The according to where we are working right now in Odisha, their priority is study now. Like
Wow.
because they're concerned now that COVID has happened, how my child is going to study. Even for a lower somebody who is from a very under-resourced community, their thing is if they don't have a smartphone, they can, and their priority is not a smartphone, but the priority is how is my child gonna study if the schools are closed. So the challenge is for us the challenge was how to reach out to them, how to reach out to those kids who don't have a smartphone or have a one phone for the whole family. So that was our concern, and I agree with you that that should be the concern of the government, the focus of the government. Keep somebody who is from the lower base of the pyramid, who cannot afford phones, and the whole school and everything is going online. What they're gonna do? How they're gonna reach out to them? For example, a government can install TVs to the for their promotion in rural uh,
Yeah.
areas in Bihar, but they cannot give a microphone to even if a whole microphone to a small village would work. A phone call, a basic phone would work. A community TV, keeping in mind with social distancing, will work. There are so many things which can work, which should work, but it's not the focus right now. Something else is in focus, unfortunately. So what we did was we have an IVRS system, the free call where parents can call, and we have a set of um, kind like bite-size materials or level-wise concept of, for example, maths and language, where they can call and listen every day, or
Wow.
they can register. We'll call them, and individual they can learn the concepts or activities, small activities which can be done at the home, and they don't need a smartphone. and we had to align who is our end user. Now the end user is parents, because we are empowering parents, telling them this is easy. You don't need ये छोटे छोटे चीजें हैं जो आप घर पे कर सकते हैं using घर के चीजें. So we have to convince them, and they do the stuff with the kid. They do the activities with the kid. So that's how we did that, because we cannot
Wow.
we just cannot blame things. If we start blaming, we can go on blaming, go on pointing fingers, wait for solutions to happen which will not happen, or which is not their priority. So the point is, find your own solution, captivate, and work on that. Find your own jugaad, or काम करो उस पे. Focus on your solution and your way, and you will bring changes, small incremental changes, and small changes is also a change.
Somehow these things are, no one is focusing on them. As Gandhiji also mentioned, that be the change you want to see. And I'm so glad that you all are on the same, and we all are working towards that. And it's great. Okay, that was such a good discussion. Okay, so so you have such time fellowship, right, Snehanshu, in ThinkZone? Is it exactly about?
Time Fellowship, time is like so the full form of time is ThinkZone India Micro Entrepreneurs of Education. So basically what our model for Time Fellowship is that we, kind of identify youth who want to do something for the community, who have the aspiration to teach young children, and we provide them an opportunity where they can be micro entrepreneurs in their own community. They can start up their own learning centers, and they can run their own learning centers and earn money through it, as well as we train them and provide them with the basic infrastructure, which is technology, which is school in a box resources, so that they can provide like a really good education solution to these children. And these are mostly based, this is a mixture of activity based and technology based like solution. So in one of the, if you go to a learning center where a fellow is like running this, you will find like the children are children are sitting according to levels. They are doing their activities according to levels, and they are constantly in touch with us and in touch with the outer world through the technology that they are using. And so that is how we connected the youth who wanted to do something for education and wanted to do something for themselves as well, with children and their need. And as Divya said, like there was a huge demand for coaching centers in rural areas. Like in any village you go, there is a particular youth, or there is a particular person who is providing coaching. So like after all the programs that we were doing in schools and Anganwadis, we really wanted that we could also tap into the coaching
So community is helping.
Yeah, the community has been like the greatest help. So in a lot of manner, what happens is like, because the community pays for the learning center, children come up to this learning center and they pay a certain amount, which is very less. But because the community has a responsibility with them, so they ensure that the process is happening really nice. Like there is a whole ecosystem that we are building over there, and where the youth are providing education and the community is ensuring that the education happens.
Great. And how can someone be part of this time fellowship?
Yeah, I think it's pretty simple. I think we are also kind of piloting it in urban area, like in semi-urban areas, kind of like slums of Cuttack, Bhubaneswar as well. So it's pretty simple. We are we have like a lot of managers who are out there spreading the word of mouth through our posters, through our online presence. And once you kind of just like tell us that you are interested, and then we have like a training session, which is like a mandatory session, like for us 6-7 days around. We train how to initially kind of start up your learning centers, how to do marketing, how to provide all these education, provide level based, activity based, and technology based education to children, and then we kind of help them through.
So is
the
it
whole
only in only Odisha, or someone all across the country?
Our main operations are in 4 districts of Odisha, that is Cuttack, Kendrapada, Bhadrak, and Khurda, that is Bhubaneswar.
Okay.
We are having in talks in partnership and kind of partnering with an organization in Uttarakhand as well. So we are kind of looking out for partners who could we could implement within other parts of India as well.
Great. What about Divya? Divya, you all are also looking to go outside Bihar, or you want to focus in Bihar itself?
So just a few months before only we spread across two more districts in Bihar. Earlier we were just in Munger and Jamui districts. Now we are in Muzaffarpur and Gaya districts of Bihar as well. So right now the focus for the next, I think, 1 or 2 more year would be to reach more and more districts in Bihar. But definitely, maybe after some years, we are definitely seeing the model replicating in other parts of the country as well. Yeah.
Great, great. Yep, yep. That's so nice to listen to. Great. So on that end, we will add on the ending of this podcast, and we will end it on a fun session kind of thing. So I hope you all. So it will be kind of a rapid fire round. It's not a coffee with Karan or any other, but it will be some rapid fire round, which I guess you all will enjoy, and your rapidness will add up to this enjoyment. Uh, so I request you all to be rapid and quick and just answer as prompt as possible. So the first question to you is, so I just hear the KBC sound behind going back, so in the background noise. Okay. Okay. The first question is, if you are the education minister for one day tomorrow, what's the first thing that you'll do?
Talk to children in rural areas.
Okay, that's pretty nice. That's like a young leader. Okay. What's your first thought when you see topics like Binod, YouTube versus TikTok trend, rather than your efforts going unnoticed? What's your first thought about it?
That's a
Any thought
reaction
like
I
it's
give.
just
I think that's a reaction
okay,
I
okay,
give. I didn't have a
okay,
word
that
to say how to spell that reaction. It's like,
okay,
okay,
okay, okay.
okay.
that's that's
Yeah.
that's really nice.
Thank
So, Srideep, the first question for you is: you have to tell one bad habit of your founder Binayak.
Impulsive, yeah. So he,
Okay, that's rapid
yeah,
fire. Okay, yeah, okay, that's nice. Okay, so if you were appointed the education minister for one day, what will you do?
I will, बच्चों के लिए छुट्टी. I will talk to all the headmasters and teachers.
That's like someone who is working on the field of education, knows the importance of layers. That's nice. Okay, the next question is for Snehanshu. Are you in favor of NEET JEE now, or it should be done later?
Too politicized or discussion to comment on, like, seriously.
Okay, okay, no worries.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, and the
yeah.
last question is, what's the best part of this conversation?
Sharing ideas, sharing thoughts, sharing beliefs. I have a lot to say about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm like interrupting you, but in response to your Binod and like TikTokers, like, let's trend this video. Like, let's make this
Of
video
course,
trend on
of
everywhere.
course, of course.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was really some good conversation, and we have come to the end of today's podcast. And I hope you all liked it and you enjoyed it. And as I mentioned before this podcast, that I'm not a trained host. I'm not someone who is very uh, good with all these things, but I hope I tried my best with what I could. So the Facebook link and your links will be all of iSaksham and Think Zone and of Desire will be on the description below. It's a request to all the viewers of this podcast to just go and like and share and comment, and please support us. These people are doing great work and they need your support. So thank you, Snehanshu, Srideep, Divya, for joining in this first episode of Let's Unwind. We hope to meet you soon post this pandemic, and we'll have another chat someday, some other time, on how good you are working post 5 years or 10 years down the line.
Thank you for having us.
Hi everyone, you've made it to the end of Desire Foundation's very first podcast episode. So, what are you waiting for? Like this video if you found the information valid and valuable. Also, don't forget to hit the subscribe button to keep up to date with all our latest news and uploads. Share this video if you found it worth sharing, and I'm sure people would benefit from the views of young leaders. And don't forget to hit the notification icon so that YouTube can notify you every time we post new content. We also accept donations on behalf of our organization, and all the links and all the information is right down below in the description box. And we can't wait to meet you in a new show and a new episode. We have amazing things planned for the upcoming episodes, and yeah, see you soon. Bye.